Welcome to the Information Commissioner's Office. If you want to use our Welsh language service, please press 9. If not, please hold. We don't audio record calls to this helpline. For information about what we do with personal data, please visit our website at ico.org.uk/privacy-notice. Our helpline is for organisations, people who work for themselves, and for members of the public. Please note, we will treat all people with courtesy and respect, and we expect the same. If anyone behaves in an unreasonable way to our staff, we will bring the call to a close. To help get you through to the right team, please select from the following 3 options. If you know the extension number of the person you want to speak to, please press 1. If you're calling from an organisation, a small club or association, you're a sole trader, or you work for yourself, please press 2. If you're a member of the public, please press 3.
Number 3.
Here are your 3 options. To discuss an inquiry or complaint you've already sent to us, please press 1. To discuss a new inquiry or complaint with us, please press 2. If you're a whistleblower and are considering making a protected disclosure under the whistleblowing provisions of UK legislation, please press 3. To listen to these options again, please press the hash key. Or, to discuss an inquiry or complaint you've already sent to us, please press 1. To discuss a new inquiry or
2.
complaint with us, we're now transferring you to a member of our team.
Good afternoon, you're through to the Information Commissioner's Helpline. How can I help?
Good afternoon. Can I start by asking what your name is?
Yeah, my name's Lauran.
Hi, Lauran. I'm a member of the public and I want to make a general inquiry regarding making a subject access request to a healthcare trust and the exemptions that may be applied. Would you be able to assist me?
Yeah, I should be able to help, of course.
Okay, so I'm just going to speak generally rather than specifics, and you can guide us accordingly. I've made a subject access request to a health authority trust, and they have accepted the subject access request. They have indicated that they will require the full amount, which is 30 days, and then on the last day they have refused, and the grounds that they have given is just let me just bring it up again. It says as Caldecott guardian and after consultation with relevant clinicians, I am refusing access to the medical records as I am informed that disclosure of the records may cause serious harm or distress to you or other parties involved. So I have made a subject access request under the Data Protection Act legislation. Now, if they had come back to me with a exemption under the Data Protection Act legislation, I would then be clarified that that is a reasonable exemption under the Act. But they don't seem to make a reference to any legislation. They just say, look, we just don't think it's going to be in your interest to have this data because it might cause you or other parties distress. So in relation to this, I wanted to know whether there is an exemption under the Subject Access Request Data Protection Act where the Caldecott guardian can simply just refuse on their own judgment without reference to the legislation.
Yeah, so there is an exemption within the law that is the serious harm exemption, which relates to health data. So an organisation can use that exemption to sort of not give access to health records. So I'm just having a look on our website now at the exemption, and this is on the sort of like the organisation section of the website, and it does say this exemption can apply if you receive a subject access request for health data. It exempts you from the UK GDPR's provisions on the right of access, so your subject access request regarding your processing of health data. But the exemption only applies to the extent that compliance with the right of access would be likely to cause serious harm to the physical or mental health of any individual, and this is also known as a serious harm test for health data. So they can rely on that exemption.
Okay.
If you're not happy with that, you can sort of go back to them and complain and say that you don't, I guess, agree with that. And then once you've done that, you can raise that as a complaint with us if you wish to do so.
Because as you can appreciate, working in the Information Commissioner's Office, as you can appreciate, most organizations that are compelled to comply with the legislation, it is an extra added burden upon them on resources to comply. And so therefore, most organizations are very reluctant to comply with subject access requests because that's not going to be making them any money, and it's a taxation on their resources. So most organizations, all organizations, in fact, would ideally not want to make us comply to a subject access request. However, the law compels them to do so. Now, so with regards to medical records, now in relation to medical records, I appreciate that is an exemption, but it surely can't be you yourself can't be the sole arbitrator of determining whether there's a serious harm test. Surely it must be objective and justifiable rather than saying, well, you know what, we don't want to go through the burden, it's going to cost us too much time and resources, so we'll just say it costs serious harm. Surely there have to be a justification.
Absolutely, you're correct. It should be justifiable. It should be justifiable. And I think if you've got concerns that they've just sort of use an exemption sort of almost like willy-nilly, they've just gone, right, that's the exemption that we're going to use, then you need to complain to that healthcare authority and say that you're not happy with the exemption that's being used. You want a justification as to why that particular exemption has been applied in this situation.
Yes, I understand, and so those are my options. But you're saying that they are within their rights to apply an exemption on serious harm, but the serious harm is down to it doesn't have to be objective. It's just their own consideration. So it seems to me it seems to be like a get out clause, because under these circumstances, I'll just provide you with the further information, is that the trust has refused to make disclosure. However, the general GP practice has made disclosure. So you understand this? It seems to me that this particular trust, as I've made several requests to them on relation to myself and family members, they just seem to be just refusing on all accounts. Now I can look to bring this matter to yourself. My only concern with that would be, I don't think it's practically viable or feasible, considering that if I was to lodge a complaint with yourself today, it could take anywhere up to 4 to 6 months before it would be allocated to somebody.
Yeah, we're sort of looking at around 3 months for cases to be allocated to them, because unfortunately we do have quite a large backlog. We have got a lot of individuals like yourself who've got concerns about their own personal data. So yeah, we do unfortunately have a large backlog. I mean, if you were to bring something to us, you can request for it to be expedited if you believe there were grounds for it to be sort of looked at sooner rather than later. But obviously, I couldn't guarantee that would happen, but you could make that request.
Yeah, and ultimately, is it not correct that once it is allocated and my complaints are upheld, the most likely outcome is that you would simply write to the organization advising them to adhere. But then again, it's subjective. They can still refuse and say, "Look, we believe the serious harm test has been met." It's very not very clear. Just simply saying the Caldecott Regardie refuses. You've seen the terminology that they've used. It's very vague and abstract, and it doesn't say. It doesn't even say who the harm is to, either me or the patient, or who the harm is to.
Like I said, they should be able to justify that to you. So I think it might be worth going back to them and sort of asking them to justify their reasons for applying this exemption in this particular case. Once you've got that answer from them and you're still sort of not happy, I would suggest that you do raise that concern with them. I know that concerned that we do have that sort of large backlog, but we are a regulator, and we use these complaints to be able to sort of look at organisations' information rights practices and provide them advice and guidance to ensure that they better their practices, and these sort of things don't happen again in the future if we find that we don't agree with how they've applied certain exemptions, for example. So it's up to you what you want to do.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. But the problem is that when if somebody's acting like with integrity, as a trust should be, then you can advise them, because simply they can, like for example, like if you're acting today with integrity and I advise you something, you take that advice on board because you're acting with integrity. But if you're acting from a place of malice and ill will and contempt, then no matter advice or guidance you can give somebody, it's not going to rectify them. If somebody is like acting with malice, they're not going to be rectified. Simply like if somebody rapes somebody, you just don't give them, tell her, don't do that again. Oh, sorry, I won't do it again. It's this, there's something underlying, you see. And so similarly, with this organization, I've had an ongoing issue with them. And if they choose to act with malice and ill will and ill content, then these are just pretexts that, oh, it's the Caltech Guardian. They're not very clear. So I will take your advice on board, and I will lodge that as a formal complaint to them, and let's just see what they say. But basically, they've just basically messed us around, really. And this is not the first time they've done this. I've been trying to make this request on behalf of a family member for like several years now, and they keep on doing this, giving me the same runaround. So anyway, thank you very much today. I think that's everything. Thank you.
All right. On the left-hand side of the page, you'll see loads of links. Sort of nearer to the bottom, I think it's 3 from the bottom, there's a section that says exemptions, and within there you'll find the serious harm exemption.
Well, I'm in that. I'm actually on my mobile phone, so it's maybe slightly different. But do you have? Could you give me a section? What section of the Data Protection Act it comes under?
Let me see if I can find where it is. Hang on, bear with me. Serious harm. It is in Schedule 3, Part 2.
Schedule 3, Part 2. Yep.
Yeah, Paragraph 5 of the Data Protection Act
Paragraph
2018.
5. Okay, I'll take a look at that directly. Thank you very much.
All right, okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.